WarsawJS.
You already know my name is Tadeusz Kurpiel, and the title of this talk will be "It's High Time for Temporal." Ladies and gentlemen, welcome everybody. Okay, I've put some photos of pets here because at the last meeting there was some doggy, and I didn't want to exclude such participants. So, welcome everybody to this talk. I hope it will be interesting. Okay, let's start with the short recall of the present situation with time and date API in JavaScript. Right now, the main and actually the only way to use the date and time in JavaScript is the date object. Here is a quick review of its methods, how we can use it, and so on. We won't stop here much longer because I think it's widely known and there is no need to explain every method, every property, and so on. Just for quick recall, what's the present situation? What we can do with the date object. Okay. As we can see, we can perform quite a lot of operations with this object, and the question arises. Okay, we don't have voice from computer. Okay, it's no problem. What's wrong with that object? Do we really need anything else? Okay, and indirect answer, have the external libraries we can find on the npm repository and in many other places. To point a few, the most popular ones, we have, for example, the ms library. It converts time units to and from milliseconds. Then we have moment.js and moment with locales, and JJS, which is a newer version of moment, and for example, datafns. What do these repositories, these libraries offer? Okay, they parse, validate, manipulate, and display dates with multiple locales, relative time, and so on. Okay, for example, datafns offers immutable and pure objects, which is in some cases advantage over the vanilla date object, which is mutable, and it raises some problems in selected cases. What else? Datafns offers, for example, the date and time arithmetic. We can add, subtract, and make some conversions, comparison and sorting, and so on. Okay, and many other libraries you know probably much better than me. So, to sum up, the date object is well known and familiarized, but there is a demand of features it doesn't suit well or not at all. For example, immutability, support for time zones and daylight saving, support for parts of dates, for example, only months and dates, and so on. Support for non-Gregorian calendars, durations, which are the difference, just differences between two moments, okay? No, and last but not least, these libraries are not the standard solution. They do their job, and they're doing it great and so on, but they are not standard and offer some additional payload, which is not always. Oh, we don't like it in some cases. So it's high time for temporal. What's temporal? Temporal is a proposal of extension of the language JavaScript itself. This is the set of tapes which addresses the challenges with a built-in date and time API, such as third-class support for all time zones, including DST-safe arithmetic, strongly date objects for dates, times, and parts of the dates, for example, only month, year values, zone date time values, durations, and so on. All temporal objects are immutable. Okay, full support for non-Gregorian calendars and compliance with industry standards. It works as a global top-level namespace like math. That brings the date-time API to the ECMAScript language. And what temporal is not? It is not a function object, doesn't have a call method, and doesn't have a construct method. It is not used with the new keyword. Okay, what's the set of the objects the temporal offers? First, please notice two main groups. One is the exact time tapes, and the second one is calendar date and wall clock tape time tapes. The first group, exact time tapes, for the user works, we can say exactly the same as the Unix epoch time, but as a date object works with millisecond accuracy. Here we have nanoseconds. This 1 million times better granularity. Okay, and the second group, the calendar date and wall clock time tapes, work with the strange inventions of human beings like calendars, and which are strictly connected to different cultures and so on. Most of the world at present days work with so-called Gregorian calendar, but not always and not everywhere. And we can see here the instant, in the first group, the instant object, which is pretty similar to the date, to the legacy date now. Works almost exactly the same. And when we connect the instant object with some time zone calendar properties, we have here the super object named zoned date time, which is, we can say, the object which has a goat mode in the temporal solution. And the rest of the objects like plain date time, plain time, plain date, plain month day, and plain year month, their names are self-explanatory. As we can see, they work with parts of the dates, not the whole year, month, day, and so on, but for example, only with time, only with date, and with the parts of the dates. only month and day, year and a month, and so on. Okay, and not in the mainstream of this object, there is a duration, which is, it represents some period of time, some time between two moments. Okay, here we have the same, from different point of view, the situation. We have the long string visualization of some date, and it's shown here which objects deal with which part of the date and time. I think it will be very boring if we'll try to describe all the methods and all the use cases, and it can be easily found in the documentation. The links will be provided at the end of this presentation, but I'll try to point some use cases which are difficult or impossible with the vanilla date object. For example, conversions, what we can do with the temporal. Conversions between calendars. Okay, let's first let's create some date. Okay, now with the calendar Gregorian, as we can see, it was created today about midday, and then I tried to transcode the date to the Japanese calendar and to the Indian calendar. As you can see, it's quite easy. It was enough just to point in the locale string with calendar. And by the way, all these supported locales and calendar values are already in the JavaScript language in the INTL date time format method description. It is it can be easily found at the MDN. And as we can see here, after translation, today, the 10th of August 2022, in the Japanese calendar is the year 4, because they count in the Japan years from the beginning of the era of the current ruler. And time is pretty the same, and month and day are the same as here too. And with the Indian calendar, it's so-called Saka calendar, and its first year is about 78 year of our era. So the current year is 1944. Oh, sorry, by the way, these are the simple cases when the calendar name match the locale name, but there are some more complicated cases. For example, when we use Hebrew calendar, but for example, United States locale and something like that. or Arabian Islamic calendar with Hebrew locales. And we should remember that not all combinations are valid, and some combinations throw an error. What else we can do with the temporal? We can do the math and some rounding. For example, we have the initial date repeated, but then we created here the date 2 via adding 2 years, 3 months, 5 hours, and 10 minutes to the date 1. And the resulting date is printed below that line. Similarly, the date 3 was created by subtracting 3 years, 4 months, 20 hours, and 100 minutes from date 2. And the result is shown here. And one more operation, date 4, is created by rounding the date 3 to some unit and with some rounding mode. The day is the largest rounding unit, as I remember. There was month and year possible at earlier stages of the library, but it was depreciated. And we can choose the rounding mode as well-known sale, floor, and so on. What's the 2 minutes? Okay. What's the current status of temporal? It is at the stage 3 proposal to the ECMAScript standard. The stages, there are 4 of them in total, are described at the page shown. And the stage 3 is the last one before ready for inclusion to the formal standard. And the roadmap we can find at the issue address on GitHub, and accordingly the plan of getting temporal documentation into MDN. And it is expected to be incorporated into ECMAScript 2023 standard, where we can find the information about temporal. Okay, these are some addresses. I think the presentation will be available on the WarsawJS site, so you of course can, but you don't have to memorize it right now. How can we play with the temporal today? Not waiting for the incorporation to the standard. For example, installing the prepared so-called polyfill on npm, because this is it cannot be the part of the language itself yet. It's prepared like an ordinary package, and we can download it and install from the npm, and it is shown what we have to import and what are the main objects we have to import and use. And 2 more slides will be okay.
My idea is this, that we have a time for one question for Tadeusz. Does anyone have a question about this presentation? Here you go, buddy. And then, if you have any further questions, they can talk to you after, as soon as the talks are finished. Thank you so much. We just have to respect the time. We're transmitting live. Please get. Let's have a question.
It works.
Please.
So maybe not about Temporal itself, but I was always curious where the data for all the calendars live. So, for example, we are in Warsaw. Someone somewhere decided that we have this time and this time the time zone. What if they will change this tomorrow? How will Temporal and other libraries know about the change?
I'm not sure
Good
I
question.
understand your question fully. Do you mean about the case when the calendar system itself is changed?
Yeah, like the time zone. The time zones in different countries switch in a different moment. So we have this period when
It's just stored in some database.
yeah. It's
Because
external.
it happens sometimes. In Poland, the last time we changed the daylight saving time was about 15 years ago, something like that. And in Russia, by the way, about 10 years ago, they just cleared the daylight saving.
So, the answer to that question is
yes.
It's stored in a database.
It's a record. It's stored in the database.
Okay, thank you very much. That was a very good question. Yes, thank you. Give him a hand, everybody. Give a hand to Tadeusz.
Thank you very much for watching.
Thank you as well.